computer. Okay. I'm recording it, and after our discussion, I will upload to the YouTube and send you guys the YouTube link. That's uh so you can see the video anytime you want. Okay. Now can you guys see my iPad screen? The Econ2 theorem discussion week 1 Q1 something like that. If you can tap it in the chat. Okay, thank you. Okay, then let's get started. Firstly, question 1 asking us to show for a linear regression linear regressions. So firstly, when we look at this kind of question, we look at the form. This one is y equals to 5 subtract x, y equals to 7 subtract x, y equals to 5 subtract 2x, y equals to 5 subtract 0.5x. So when you look at this kind of form, like y equals to a plus bx, a and b are constant. It means that there's a linear regression between x and y. And then how to determine this line? Determine a linear regression, you only need 2 points, randomly 2 points. After getting these 2 points and connect them, you will have this line, okay? So firstly, question A, graph the equation y equals to 5 subtract s. So let's just randomly to pick 2 easier points among the infinite points. So how about like x equals to 0 and y equals to 0. So when x equals to 0, which means that you only need to substitute the value of x is 0 to the original equation, then you will get y equals to 5 subtract 0, right? So y equals to 5 when x is 0. And next point, when y equals to 0, y equals to 0, you just substitute to it. 0 equals 5 subtract x, right? You will get x's value is 5. So next point is 5, 0. Then you only need to find these 2 points on the figure. First point, 0, 5. Okay, 0, 5. So this is the point we are looking for. And next one, 5, 0. So this point is the point that we are looking. So you just connect these 2 points, then you will find the equation A. So how to find the equation? Rule is to find 2 points. Okay, same logic. Don't know how to find equation B, y equals 7 subtract x. Same logic, because you only need to find two easy points, right? You just x equals to 0 or y equals to 0. Then you will find these 2 points and connect them. You will find equation B. Okay, then when we compare equation A and equation B, can we find the similarity and the difference? I think we can, because when we look at A, when we look at B, we can see that they are parallel, right? Because the slope of these two lines uh, is -1. It's the same, but the difference is that from A to B, it means that you only need to shift A upward to about 2 units to get B. Only assignment. Uh, Actually, I don't know. Maybe you can ask your instructor about this. I don't know if this is the only assignment, or you can check the syllabus. Okay. And for equation C, same logic, find 2 points, and you will find the linear regression. For D, it's the same. But there's some difference between C, D, A, and B. So when you compare A and C, you'll find, okay, their intercept is the same, 5, right? Because when x is 0, y equals to 5. But the slope of it, this one, slope is -2. For A, slope is -1. This is the difference. And also for D, intercept is the same, but the slope is -0.5. So this is the difference between them. And this one, I assume you guys have learned some mathematic background, but if you cannot do it, just feel free to ask me, okay? So as we can see for question 1, this is actually not the economic question, but from the next part, we will have the economic question. And before introducing the following questions, I want to emphasize an important concept. Firstly, the quantity demand or supply. And second, demand or supply. So as we can see, there's only one word different, but the difference between them is pretty huge. So quantity demand means that, for example, this is the demand curve, D1, D2, and D3, right? The quantity demand means that you are moving along one demand curve. For example, from A to B, B to C, A to C. You are moving along this curve, right? You are not shift to another curve. And the reason why A to B, B to C, only 2 reasons. The price or quantity of itself changes. So in this example, only the price of pizza changes or the number of pizzas demanded changes can cause the quantity demand change from A, B, C, D shifting points. Okay. And what is the demand and supply change? It is about the shifting. Then how to cause the demand curve change from D1 to D2 or D2 to D3 or D3 to D2, something like that, except this reason, price and quantity itself change. All other reasons will cause the shifts, will cause the demand or supply change. And I think this one would be very important during your quiz, during your exams. So make sure that you understand it very well, otherwise it would be a trouble, okay? Then if we understand this, we can look at the following problem. So firstly, for A, assume that the market is initial at B and pizza is normal good. A decrease in income. Okay, first, this is the reason to this part, right? Because this is not the price of pizza change, quantity of pizza changes. So all other regions belongs to the shifts. And then would cause the market to move from point B on D2 to what? Now the income decreases, which means that assume the price of it fixed, then the quantity that you can afford decreases. So which means that assume price change fixed. Before that, you can buy B, right? But because of the decreased income, you can only buy this point. So it caused the shift from D2 to D1. Okay. And similarly, beer and pizza are complementary goods. And decrease in the price of beer. Okay, keyword price. Beer. If this is the price of pizza, then we can think this is the movement along D2. But this is price of beer change. So it belongs to all other reasons. So it will cause a shifting, right? Decrease. And this is complementary goods. So which means that, for example, in your real life, if you realize that the price of beer decreases, maybe you want to buy more beer. If you want to buy more beer, then you may need more pizza to be complete to buy because you like to eat pizza and beer together. Okay, and then it means that at the same price, the quantity that you want is higher than before. Then from B to this point, and previously we know this is a shifting about the demand curve. So from D2 to D3. Okay. And C, if pizza and hamburgers are substitute, an increase in the price of hamburgers. So also price of another thing, not itself. So it will cause a shift from D2 to D1 or D3, right? And now they are substitute increase in the price of hamburger, which means that suppose you are indifferent for consuming hamburger or pizza, and now the price of hamburger increases, which means maybe you want to buy more pizza, right? Because you are indifferent with pizza and hamburger. So at the same price of pizza, you want more. It will cause the shift from D2 to D3. And the ABC are all about the demand change, all about the shifting. And for D, price of pizza changes. Price of itself changes. So it will cause a quantity demand change. The movement would be along this curve. Okay, so which means that originally B, right? Now the price decreases, which means price decreases from B to C, right? And for E, decrease in demand would represent a shift from D2 to what? So actually this is very similar with A because of the decrease in income, your demand would decrease, okay? So it will cause from D2 to D1. So let's summarize this kind of problem. First step, you need to determine if this is along the curve or shift. And step 2, you need to know the direction. Sometimes you may need to fix the price to see what's the quantity change or fix the quantity to see what's the price change. Okay. Similarly, for the supply curve, it would be the pretty similar. Step 1, let me copy it. The decrease in the wage rate of pizza market, which means that which means that the input of pizza, now this is a supply. You are assuming you are a producer, you are produce the pizza, you are making pizza, okay? And the wage rate of the pizza market decreases, which means that your input of pizza decreases. So now the rule, you can think the cost of making one pizza decreases. So this is belong to the quantity demand, quantity supply, or supply itself. Remember that the quantity supply only be a factorism, the price of itself. Okay, this is not the price of itself. This is the price of pizza's input. So this is a shift. Okay, this is a supply change. And then we know that. And then we need to determine the direction. The price of the input decreases means that at the same quantity supplied, the price of pizza would be decreasing, right? Because the price of input decreases. So the direction would be decreases. So now we can get the answer. This is a shift from S2 to another curve, and this direction is decreasing, which means that you are shifting this supply curve from S2 to S3. So this is the answer. Similarly, the increase in supply represents the movement from S2 to what? It it directly tell you this is the increase in supply, not in quantity supply. So this is a shift. And then what's the direction? Increase in supply means that at the same price, the quantity supplied is larger than before. Okay, then the direction is also from S2 to S3. But when we look at question C, it directly tell you this is the quantity supplied. So this would be a movement along the curve S2, right? And originally your equilibrium is B. Then how to get the direction of the movement? The decrease in quantity supplied. Quantity supplied means that the direction is here because this is a number of pieces, right? So the direction you find that from B to C, right? Okay, and similarly, the price of pizza sauce increases. Also, this is the input price, but this is just the opposite direction because for A, the decrease in input price. For D, this is increase for the input price. So it's just from S2 to S1. For A, it's from S2 to S3. And for E, increase of price of pizza itself. Remember that this is the quantity supply change would be along the curve, right? And so we are just looking at A, B, C with 3 points. And originally the point is C. The increase in price would be this direction. So this point could change from C to B or C to A because we don't know how much is the movement. Okay, so for question 2 and question 3, these two questions are important for you guys to know what's the difference between the quantity demand or supply or demand or supply change. And you need to know what's the direction of it. After finishing these two steps, you will find the correct answer. Okay, any questions? Okay, no, if not, we'll keep going. And for question 4, this is you may need some simple calculation about it, but I promise it would be very easy. Okay, so now you know what's the demand curve and what's the supply curve. So first step, you need to draw it on the graph. And second, you need to solve the equilibrium price and quantity. Remember one rule. In equilibrium, the price of supplied equals the price of demand, and quantity supplied equals the quantity demand. So when we know this rule, you can just, this is the quantity, price, demand, quantity, demand, price, supply, quantity, supply. So you just let these two equations equal, right? And you will find this equation. You will solve Q equals to 3. This is the equilibrium Q. And then substitute Q to this equation or this equation. Doesn't matter because you will find the same price. So then you will get the price is 9, quantity is 3. And C, suppose that there's a drop and the supply of asparagus falls on the graph below show how this will affect the equilibrium price and quantity, explain how the economy will move to the new requirement. So which means that the supply decreases. Remember, the supply decreases means that at the same price, quantity previously here, then it will be here. This is about the shifting to the left. Then previously, equilibrium quantity is here, and now the equilibrium quantity is here. So we can see that the equilibrium quantity decreases, but the equilibrium price increases, which is a bad thing because you don't want to buy a higher price good. Okay. So this question is just telling you the mathematics thing to find the equilibrium price and quantity. And for question 5, I will leave it to here because question 5 is very similar with question 2 and 3. You need to follow these 2 steps to find the, it's about the quantity demand change, quantity supply change, or the demand or supply change, then you will know the direction to find the correct answer. Okay, and for six, and for question 6, it's about the numerical result. Remember, in equilibrium, the price of supply equals to price of demand, quantity supply equals to quantity demand. And in this chart, we need to find the equilibrium market price, which means that when quantity supplied equals the quantity demanded, what's the price? 900, 900. Then you will find the equilibrium price is 7, right? And then in equilibrium, the quantity bought and sold would be 900. So this is the equilibrium point. And how about when the price is not at the equilibrium price? When the price is 9, you will see that even though there are 1,300 units supplied, but the quantity demanded is only 300. So there's excess supply of 1,000 units. Same logic. When the price is $6, the quantity demanded is 1,200, but the quantity supplied is only 700 units. So there's excess demand of these two numbers difference, 500 units. Okay. So this chart is actually similar with this figure. The only difference is that it's telling you a chart rather than a continuous line about the quantities, the demand curve and the supply curve. Okay, And for question 7, it's the same. In equilibrium, what's the market price for glasses? The intercept is the equilibrium, right? At this point, the quantity is 450, the price and 60. And then at the price of $30, what be the excess demand? Price is here. So at this price, the supply is 300 glasses, but the demand is about 750 glasses. So as we can see, there's excess demand because of the low price, and the gap between them is 400 glasses. And also, when price is 90, also there's a gap because at this such high price, the demand only 150, but supply is 600. So there's an excess supply of this gap, and this gap is 450. Okay. And for question 8, I will leave it to you guys. You can take a screenshot or you can go back to the video to check to check your answer if this is correct, because question 8 is pretty similar with previous 2 questions. Okay. Anything that I need to emphasize for these 8 questions? Okay.